Hello, first graders. Welcome to a new science lesson. Please get the scientist notebook ready and let's start. As you know, we're talking about light energy in this unit, and we learned that we get the light from different sources such as the sun or electric, like light bulbs, or also fire. We also learned that the light bounces off objects, then it's in different ways, then giving us then return back to the eyes where we can see the thing. That's why we cannot see any object on the dark. All right, so let's start. Please open page 41 in your note, the scientist notebook, and let's start. So we have two words that we cover in the beginning of the unit, but we're gonna also do a quick revision of memorizing these words. So use these words when explaining light and shadow. All right. Okay, let's start with the first word. Look at the picture.
Light, a form of energy that lets you see. Light, a form of energy that lets you see.
And as we see in this picture, the source of light is the sun. Okay, let's go for that next one. Talking here about shadow.
Shadow, a dark shape that is created when a source of light is blocked.
Okay, let's go back to our page and read page 14 to 23 in light and shadow. Answer the question after you have finished reading. So we're gonna play the story now, but let's read the question first. Circle the picture that shows source of light. Place an X over the picture that are not source of light. So we have three pictures. We're gonna circle the picture that are source of light. Second question, how does light help us? All right, so we're gonna read the story and then answer the question.
Lights and shadows. Light. Light is all around us. Light is a form of energy that lets us see. Light bounces off objects and enters our eyes. Our brains interpret the light so we can see. Light outside lets us see what is around us.
Okay.
Light indoors helps us see something clearly. Light at night helps us see things. Where light comes from. Light can be made by people or by natural sources. The sun is a natural source of light. Plants need sunlight to grow. People can make objects that give off light too. Lamps, car headlights, and flashlights are sources of light made by people. Fire is also a natural source of light. People make light shine in different shapes and colors. Some light is made by people. Light passes through some objects. Different objects let different amounts of light pass through them. Some objects allow all the light to pass through them. Light shines through clear glass and plastic. Light passes all the way through transparent things.
And as we see, this is transparent, like the clear bottles or the water or the clear plastic bag or the windows where we can see the cat.
You can see through things that let light pass completely through them. This kind of object is transparent. A clear glass window is transparent. You can see what is behind it clearly.
Right.
Light does not pass through all objects. Objects that allow only some light to pass through them are translucent. You can see only some of what is behind the object. Sunglasses are translucent. You cannot see clearly what is behind something that is translucent.
As we see in this picture. All right.
Many objects block all light. Opaque objects let no light pass through them. You cannot see what is behind them. The walls of most buildings are opaque. This mug and the water in this river are opaque.
as you see, we cannot see through, we cannot see what's under the water because it's not clear, it's opaque. And also, of course, the mug. But if you have a clear glass, I can see what kind of drink I have. If it's juice, I can see the color, or if it's water.
Shadows. When light shines on an opaque object, a shadow forms. Your body is opaque. It blocks the light. When light shines on an object, a shadow appears on the other side of the object. Shadows change during the day. When the sun is lower in the sky, your shadow is longer. When the sun is higher in the sky, your shadow is short. At noon, your shadow appears only under your feet, so you can't see it. When light is blocked, there is a shadow.
So as you see here, different times when you have different size of the shadows. So let's listen to this part one more time.
Shadows. When light shines on an opaque object, a shadow forms. Your body is opaque. It blocks the light. When light shines on an object, a shadow appears on the other side of the object. Shadows change during the day. When the sun is lower in the sky, your shadow is longer. When the sun is higher in the sky, your shadow is short. At noon, your shadow appears only under your feet, so you can't see it. When light is blocked, there is a shadow.
So now we know that the shadow comes in different size according to the sun, the position of the light, the sun.
If there is sunshine, there will be shadows. A shadow happens when an opaque object gets between a light and the surface of an object.
So as you see here, we can see the shadow. This is the flashlight. This is a picture, and we can see the shadow of the picture because this picture just blocked the way of the light. All right, so let's go back to our page 41, and let's answer now questions. Circle the picture that shows sources of light. Place an X over the pictures that are not source of light. So we have the sun, we have a battery, and we have the lamp. Very good. So we can do a circle here. Oops. So we can draw a circle here. All right, clear. Let's do it one more time. So we put the sun in a circle. Good, that's what they say. Circle the picture that shows sources of light and also the lamp. Then over here, you need to draw an X. Okay? Let me see if we can draw an X. Okay. So these are sources of light. Okay. All right. Question 2, how does light help us? We just said and read it that light helps us to see objects. So let's try. Light helps us to see objects. And of course, if it's a natural source such as sun, we'll be able to see. That's what we have the light outdoors, so when we say daylight. Or if you have your light on in the dark, you can't see. So when you put your light on, you'll be able to see in your room. All right, so let's go for page 42. All right. How light and shadow interact. Explore the digital interactive, how light and shadow interact on light and shadows. Okay. Remember when we were reading this part? Let's listen to it one more time.
If there is sunshine, there will be shadows. A shadow happens when an opaque object gets between a light and the surface of an object.
All right. So, when an object blocks light, a blank happens. So what do you think? Very good, shadow. So let's write the word shadow. So when an object blocks a light, a shadow happens. Very good. Okay, let's go for the second part of the same page. Complete I can statement. I can construct an explanation, like I can come up with an explanation because now we understand and talk about light and shadow, right? So this is what your answer should be related. So I can construct an explanation about how lights happen, helps us to see, and how shadows happen, right? So let's put this down. You don't need to write the part that's written for you, so we're gonna just continue. So I can construct an explanation about how light helps us and how shadows happen, right? Because that's what we learn. Okay, over here we're gonna do a small project. So to design a solution so we can use light. So let's go for page 43. Changing shadows. You will observe the shapes of shadows during the day. Make prediction. How does a shadow change during the day? If you remember, if you go back to the book we just read together, and this is the part I told you, listen to it carefully. Let's play it one more time.
Shadows. When light shines in an opaque object, a shadow forms. Your body is opaque. It blocks the light. When light shines in an object, a shadow appears on the other side of the object. Shadows change during the day. When the sun is lower in the sky, your shadow is longer. When the sun is higher in the sky, your shadow is short. At noon, your shadow appears only under your feet, so you can't see it. When light is blocked, there is a shadow.
Okay, so we will be taking part of this as part of our answer. So when light shines on an object, a shadow appears on the other side of the object. Shadows change during the day. That we need to pay attention to. So shadow change during the day. So what happened when the sun is lower? So when the sun is lower in the sky, your shadow is longer. All right? And when the sun is higher in the sky, your shadow is short. At noon, your shadow appears only under your feet. All right? So we're gonna write here when the sun. So now let's read the question again. How does a shadow change during the day? So the shadow will be long in the morning. So let's put simple one as we predicting. So the shadow will be long in the morning, then in the middle of the day, right? Because we say in the middle of the day would be short. And what will happen at noon? At noon, the shadow will be, remember the part which says under your feet? See, under your feet. the shadow will appear under, talking about yourself, so under my feet. Okay. All right, so let's see this simple investigation. Okay, choose an object that makes a shadow outside. Pick 3 different times of a day to observe the shadow. So you can, for example, observe a tree or a building and try to see in a different time of the day. Then record your information here or your data. So you're gonna write the time of the day, like in the morning, and then what happened, you draw it, like how the shadow for that tree, for example, or for the street sign, how does it look like? And then middle of the day, how this shadow changed the length, and then at noon, how the shadow looks different. So you need to choose the same object and watch it in 3 different times of the day. And of course, when it's a sunny day, then you can put the time and draw it here or explain how the shadow look like. So you can say long or short, or short again, or long. All right. Draw a conclusion. Why did the shadow change during the day? All right, so remember, we're gonna have 3 different times of the same day for the same object that you are observing. So let's say if you choose this tree, you're gonna watch that tree. Or even if you don't have something, if you go outside, you just, stand on the sunny part and watch your shadow. Is it long or short? And then you go and you write the time and what did you observe? Then the same within like 2-3 hours, and then at noon. Now draw a conclusion. Why did the shadow change during the day? Because of the way the sun hit this object, right? If it's your body, or if it's a street sign, or if it's a tree. So when the sun moved across the sky during the day, so the shadow changed position. That's why we go in a different time of the day, because the sun, remember back to the book we just read, the sun is high or low, and that's how the shadow appear, either longer or shorter. So that's what we need to write. So this part, you're gonna choose the object and you're gonna fill it yourself. You put the time here and how the shadow look like. And this one, the conclusion, that's what we just learned also, and we heard in our story, the book we just read. So we're gonna say that the shadow changed because the way the sun, hit the object that you are observing. Then, remember we said the sun moved across the sky because it's a different time of the day. During the day, so the shadow also change position Okay, let me see if I can make this clear so we can go. Sure. So the shadow changed because of the way the sun hit the object that you're observing, if it's you or the tree or the street sign. And then the sun moved, across the sky. That's when the shadow also changed position and size. Okay, I'm waiting a little bit for you to Write it down. Okay, let's go to page 45. Okay, this is a little experiment or little project that you can do, or you can do something even simpler than that. But let's see what we have here. You will make a model and write instruction for lighting the school play. Define a problem. You are helping Chloe to plan the sets and lighting for the school play. What do you need to consider? So this is the materials you need if you want to do this project. So let's go through. You need a shoebox, your construction paper, scissors, craft sticks, tape or glue, and flashlights. We're going to read how to do it, but then I'm going to give you also a simpler project you can do. But please, whenever you use scissors or any sharp objects, you have to make sure that you are assisted by an adult, like someone with you, help you to cut or to use these materials in general. All right. So now we have to assign a problem. So we do this play, we're doing a play, and we're supposed to be having like a little problem. So what we're gonna say, what we need here first, you are helping Chloe to plan the sets and lighting for the school play. So Chloe doing a play and you helping her. So what do you need to consider? You doing a play. So what do we have? We need actors, props, and need to be seen, and also light. So we need light, you need the actors, and we need props. So let's put this down. So we're gonna say the actors, props, so like clothes, material, furniture, and you have to mention light because we are talking about light. Okay. All right, let's go for this part. Make a model of the stage and the sets. Include sensory, props, and actors. Test your model in a dark room. Use flashlight as the spotlight. Okay. Tell about your model. Can you see all of the actors and props? So in order to do something like that, I get a tissue box. I'm going to tell you what you can do. We get a tissue box and you put any figure like plastic toys or a car or small animals and make a hole in your tissue box and try to look through this hole to see if you can see anything. And because it's dark and tissue box only get a small hole, you won't be able to see. And now you have to put the flashlight through this small hole and you will be able to see the shadow of the figure or the toy that you put. Or we can do something like back to that. And this is also another way of just knowing or seeing the shadow, that when you put spotlight or flashlight on an object, you will be able to see the shadow. But if there isn't and you're holding this in a dark room, you won't be able to see the shadow. So that's the whole idea, that we need to know that in order to be able to see a shadow, you need to have the light. So the light reflects on this object on the surface behind it. All right. So these what you need to fill if you made either the top part or if you just use the tissue box. So you need to write your explanation. What did you see? All right. So tell about your model. Can you see all the actors and the props? Same like if you have the tissue box and you put something in it and you're don't have any light. Can you see it? Of course, because there is no light, you cannot see. But if you have the flashlight, you will be able, using it as a spotlight, this is when you will be able to see your figures or whatever you put in a tissue box, and also the shadow. So you created the light enough so your eyes can see and this light reflect on this object that you just put it in a tissue box, so you were able to see that shadow. Okay. Let's go here for page 47 and go back to the picture we saw for the tree. Remember, think about the photo of the trees, of a tree's shadow at the beginning of the lesson. Remember when we put question and then we said by the end of the lesson we'll be able to answer, because now we build a background of the lesson. Now we understand it. So let's read again one more time, and then we will be able now to put what we just learned in understanding the shadow and light. So think about the photo of a tree shadow at the beginning of the lesson. Use what you have learned to tell what light is. Okay. Okay, so this is what we have. Remember, we know that there's an object. We know the sun is the light. The source of light here is the sun, and we know the shadow. Remember, we asked lots of questions. Now we need to use what you learned about light to explain this picture now. So we learned that light is a form of energy that allows us to see, and the shadow made when an object blocks the light. So we see this shadow because the tree blocks the light. Look at this part, look at the grass. There's no shadow because there is no tall thing to block the light. But over here, this tree is tall enough to block the light, so we were able to see the shadow. So let's write this down, because now I understand and learn about lights and shadow. So we're gonna say that light, as we learned, is a form of energy. Remember, we talked about light and sound, and they both are form of energy, right? So light is a form of energy that allows us to, of course, to see objects or to see in general. And we also learned that a shadow is made when an object blocks the light. And you can always, play this fun game. Just bring a flashlight and in a room, dark room, and then put your fingers in front of the flashlight, and you can make silly faces, like animal faces or stuff like that, as you are doing funny shadows using a toy or funny movement for your hands. So this is something to let you know that when you have the flashlight just aiming on a wall, you'll be seeing light. But when you start to put your hand or an object or a ruler or a funny face, like an animal or something, a puppet or so, you'll be seeing the outline of the object that you are holding it, of course, without detail. All right. Okay, first graders, that's it for today. Thank you. Bye-bye.